Hi, this is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle, and today I get the chance to work on a reel that Ryan has sent in. This is an Ambassador, and I think it's the 5000. It's hard to see, the decals are off of it. But got an issue here with it's jammed, it doesn't turn. So every now and then you get these, can we fix these projects, and what is the real fail projects? So we're going to do a little bit of diagnosis on this one. We'll see if we can figure it out. We'll go step by step, and then, well, hopefully we'll see if we can't get this one fishing again. This is an older Ambassador. It's made in Sweden, so it's got a good pedigree to it, and hopefully whatever it is that's causing this issue can be rectified pretty quickly. Well, let's do some analysis on this. Let's see if we can push the free spool in. We can. Does the free spool turn? Well, it turns. It's tough, but it does turn. Is the line guide moving when you're turning? Look, turn it upside down. Look. And I think we've got a turning worm gear. Yep, we got a turning worm gear. So it's probably something in this side then that is jamming. If you didn't see the worm gear turn, the first thing you might want to do, and we can do that as part of the analysis, is to remove that pawl, because sometimes that pawl will stick, and if the pawl sticks, well, it's like putting a brake on a car. If it's stuck in the track, it won't allow the reel to go any further. We'll take a look. Now, this pawl will tell us something in the diagnosis as well. It's very dirty. There's a lot of grease and grime and junk on the shoulders of this, which says, well, if nothing else, the reel hasn't been serviced in a while. Well, if you like the ideas behind servicing fishing reels, if you like to see how it's done, maybe see why they break, see how to restore them, give them a second chance, that's what this channel is about. It's about teaching you how to keep your reels maintained and how to do it yourself. And I would encourage you, if you like these types of things, to subscribe. And if you do subscribe, please use that notification button. That'll let you know when I'm posting. I post frequently. I also recommend that you have a strategy for what you're going to do with the parts when you take them off. You can see the parts we've removed. We've removed the nut cap retainer. We've removed the pawl and the pawl cap. I use a fast food container. And, well, whatever structure or whatever system you want to use, that's good. Just recommend that you have one before you start taking them off. Otherwise, you'll get what's, well, what I call reel in the bag projects. You some folks wind up having them apart and can't remember how they go back together again, and just kind of put them in a bag or a coffee can or a container and just well, leave them for another day that sometimes never comes. I'm going to remove the handle. In order to do that, you want to remove the E-clip that's holding the bridge post on. We can pull up on that. This is a good place to tell you to take pictures. If you're working on a reel and you don't have the schematics, or if you're unfamiliar with the reel, take the pictures along the way. Use whatever image capture device you like, phone, digital camera. Hey, take a video if you like. Whatever it is that works for you, but take them at critical junctions when you're removing pieces and parts. That way it'll tell you what the orientation of that is, and well, if you get stuck, you can go back and reference your pictures. We're removing the star adjuster now. That comes off in a counterclockwise manner, and well, some of your reels, you can tell the setups by looking at that star adjuster and some of the other pieces and parts in there as to what the age of the reel is. There is a code on these. Let's see if I can find that code. So this one says 84 to 86, 87. And now the codes are usually bumped up by 10 years. So I don't know if this reel was made in 1974, because 84 you would subtract 10. It would say it's the second edition, and was made 1 year later than the introduction. So that would say 77, and it was manufactured in 78, if that's possible. We'll see when we get inside, because inside there's 3 or 4 different approaches that Abu has made in their ambassadors. There's not many different ones. There's some on these oddball, I'll call them oddball ones, that are just kind of plays on them, but the standard ambassador and the 5000, 5500 series, they're pretty much the same, and they used about 3 different engineering changes along the way. And like I said, we'll try and figure out which one this is, see if it really is that early. We're going to just try and get some of this corrosion off of here. I've used a spray. This is a good time to turn your wheel and see if this turns. Yeah, the worm gear turns nice and free and easy there. We'll take this side off and clean that as well. We're missing a screw, not a big deal. I'll find one along the way. Probably won't do that right now. But while we're servicing the reel, I started cleaning. I don't have the reach in there, so what I'm going to do is take this side plate off. We'll do a quick look and service on this side. There's not much in there. There's just the wheel and the bearing. The wheel being the idler gear. And then we'll move over to the gear side, try to figure out what's going on. One of the things that's kind of sort of interesting here is this clip is there. I don't know if that one came out of this reel or not. I'm just going to lay it to the side. That may have been left over from another project. This is the inside of the reel. Like I said, if everything's clean in here, you really don't need to do too much. Clean out the old grease. That's what this is about. That's not a burring. That's a bushing in there. That'll tell you a little bit about the age. If you wanted to hot rod the reel, you could replace that bushing with a bearing. Clean it up. Check your drive. Now, we were doing this by hand. It seemed to work fine. There's 2 drives. The one is going to drive the worm gear. The other is going to be driven by the spool. This spool drives the outer one. This drives the worm gear on the inside. This turns free and easily, so all we want to do there, just a drop of oil onto the shaft. We can put some oil into that bushing. I'm going to set that aside so that I can just try one more time with this on the inner part to bring some of that apart. You can also use something like this. It's a rod and reel cleaner. That does a pretty good job of breaking down some of the film. You can also try a wire brush. See if you can't scrub some of that off if you can get it in there. I'm not quite sure where Ryan has used this reel. It does appear as though it's got some salt water use to it because of the corrosion on it. Fresh water typically does not leave the greening and the like, but not sure. And we are on the eastern seaboard, so they could be used in multiple locations here. This has a big fan following base for inshore ocean, but it's also used in lakes and trolling applications, so it could go in a lot of different directions with this. Alright, well, I think for the purposes of this video is about why did the reel fail, not how to make the reel pretty, but while you have it apart, it doesn't hurt to do some basic cleaning in there. And while I'm doing that, let's encourage you to ask questions along the way. Maybe you're working on a reel and you're stuck. Maybe you own a reel and you don't know enough about it to want to know some more about the manufacturer, whatever. Leave those questions in the comment section. I will try to answer those for you. Okay, I'm going to put this back on before we go any further. You can put oil or grease on that. You should oil the worm gear on the sprocket. Find your badge. Just set that in. Go to your parts tray. We noted we were missing one of these screws. Again, I do have a tray of screws for the Ambassador. Not many of them, but I do have a tray that has some in. I will go to those after the video and replace this missing screw. Just don't want to stop the video at the moment. It looks like we had a couple of missing screws anyway because the two screws here are different. So whatever's happened to this reel in its life, it's certainly gone through losing screws. How do you lose screws? Well, screws typically are lost on boats. So that might confirm again that this is a saltwater reel that's been used on the inshore ocean fishing. Boats have a lot of engine vibration on them. I don't know if you've been on boats, but if you've been on some of the boats that sail up and down the Atlantic coast, those big engines rattle the floors and shake loose a lot of the screws in that. So you have to be real careful with those as you maintain your reels. You want to make sure you keep them tight. Right now I'm looking for my brush. Well, I guess I'm going to be right back. Never far from hand, right in front of you, hiding in plain sight, is the grease brush that I use. I use a artist brush. Yeah, we put a little bit of oil onto the bushing. I'm going to put a little bit of grease onto this side. So we're pretty certain that this is not the cause of the issue. We are also missing a spool brake here. We can go back and get one of those when I find that Ambassador parts tray. Again, I'm going to just turn it, make sure we're okay. And drop some oil onto the worm gear. Come back in here for the pawl. We've cleaned that pawl up now. Place that back into the cylinder for the line guide. And then if you push down on that pawl and turn, you'll be able to set that pawl like that. Then you can bring the pawl cap over. Tighten that by hand. You do not want to kind of force it with any kind of tool, because they're fairly sensitive, and if you don't do that properly, you're going to find yourself stripping either the cap or the arm, and then you're out of luck. Alright, I wanted to move that over to the side enough that I can put that last little tightening snug up to it. Alright, the bottom case is done. Let's turn, and you'll notice we're not turning. We're not turning well. We are turning. Alright. Let's take this side off, see what we got. It could be that it's just dried grease. It could be something like a trapped brake. That sometimes you open up the reel, you say, well, gee, nothing's wrong in there. Why wasn't it working? Sometimes they trap that brake, that little stud on that spool. They trap it in that inner race ring here when you take it apart. But it's obvious this reel has not had service in a very long time. Okay, this could very well be a 1970s Ambassador based on the industrial design of this reel. This is the early design. It's not the earliest. I don't think it's the earliest. I believe I'll have to go back and check that, but it's very close to that. You do not have an instant anti-reverse. You have the anti-reverse dog. You have a single throw for the yoke. You do not have the two yoke springs. This one has a single trip on it, where some of these have the double trip. Okay, so let's work with what we have then. We want to disassemble this to make sure that we have a clean base to it, because this may just be that grease issue. We have a clip that's holding a spring on here. You want to push down. This is never easy for me. Push down and push out to remove the clip. Watch the spring underneath it. You don't want to shoot that spring. And if you can't see it, I'm going to apologize because I'm trying not to shoot the spring. This is the clip that's holding it on. It's a retention clip. It has an indentation on the one side and a flat spot on the other. Here's your spring underneath that. Then we can bring up and out on the yoke assembly. The pinion gear has a little white collar on it that faces up. Take notes. And then we need to remove the spring on the jack. I'm going to use a little needle nose pliers for that. Bring that over, hopefully. Actually, I'll probably just pick the whole thing up and do it that way. Release the tension on this. Guess not. Okay, oh, we got it out that way. Here's your spring. We'll remember how to put that back. Alright, so this is your base platform for the reel. And yeah, there's a lot of dirt and debris and the like under there. I have some penetrating oil laying on there. I did that spray before. And now I'm going to use a paper towel to mop that up. Let's do the back end of this as well. I try to stay with the least abrasive approach to these reels. I only get involved in using something like a steel walnut if it's stubborn deposits. Alright, on the back end of this we've got some dirt. So we'll get rid of that. The parts seem to be in good condition. So I don't think that the problem has been a broken part. Okay. Well, let's see if we can just put this back the way we kind of grabbed it out there, right? We're going to take the hook of the spring, put that on here, and rotate everything around. And we've got it reset like that. So maybe that was the easiest way to do that. Okay. Check your yoke. Again, pictures help along the way here. Check your teeth on your pinion here. You want to make sure that they're clean and that they're uniform. They're not cracked or chipped or bent in any regard. And when you find that they're in good condition, you can put some fishing wheel grease on that. And those of you that watch my video know every video I tell you, if you're going to do this, use fishing wheel grease. Don't play around with household greases or automotive greases or the like. Yeah, it's better than nothing, I guess, but fishing wheel grease was designed for marine use, and use it accordingly. You're going to find two slots in that plastic carrier. You're going to notice that one side of this pinion gear has a slot. The other side is flat. The flat side faces the spring upside. Bring that over the post and center it and bring it down into the cavity, just like that. I think I have to take my glove off here. I was having an issue before trying to get this piece out, and well, it's certainly not going to be any easier going in. Alright. Use this collar here and your fingers to compress the spring. And then you want to bring this in when you get the notch in the post. Compress it in. Then you want to bring it over. Newell does this with their yoke springs too. Drives me crazy. Not an easy thing to do. Alright, there we go. We're back on. I think we're back on. Yep. Nope. I have a little tag of that spring is hanging through here. I think I can rotate that out. I might be able to. I think it's best to just take it out and try again. So that happened because I didn't have the spring completely compressed. So if you ever find yourself in a situation like this, just stop, take a deep breath, relax, and then reset. If you try to force anything, you risk breaking apart. And if you're working on a reel of this age and you break that part, you may not be able to find a replacement. So just take your time on these. That's speaking from lessons learned. All right, let's try this again. All right, that's better. Now I've got it where there's no spring coming through this side. All right, let's take a moment here. I want to thank everybody for staying with me on this. This has been a little bit of a patience tester. I want to thank our first responders and essential personnel while I'm at it as well. I appreciate everything it is that they do, and well, never get tired of saying it. All right, we're going to take a kitchen scrubby with some rod and reel cleaner, clean this case. I think this reel is going to get a second chance. I know this reel is going to get a second chance. I have not found any broken parts. There might be a little roughness in that pawl. We have to go an extra step there in terms of doing some additional maybe scrubbing on that post. We're going to find out. All right, let's take a look at the main gear assembly. We have a collar. We have one tension washer. If you have trouble getting them off, I can't live without this micro pliers. It's a Crescent product. But boy, it just helps me when my fingers are too big or not strong enough or whatever. Well, the good news here is this drag washer has been replaced along the way. Both of these have been replaced. That's good. Right? You're going to find two drag washers on the back side. You're going to find a narrow width one. On the front side, you're going to find a broader one. Clean out the old greases. Make sure that that's just tarnish. It's not a broken one. These have been lubed and they have plenty of lube on them. So this is a wider one. It's going to sit on that post like this. That's why it's just a kind of a narrow gauge one, and it fits in the back. This is the wider one. Again, you can grease those, but these have got a lot of grease on them, so I'm just going to leave them as it is. The grease is to keep them from drying out. It's not to do anything relative to the performance. Just like we did with the other one, check all the teeth, make sure that they're in good condition. These are clean and they're absence of any dirt or debris there. So I'm going to take the brush here and go ahead and grease that up. I'm using Penn Precision Reel grease for this. Somebody just wrote me and said they're using Ozark Trails, which is the Walmart store brand of fishing greases and oils, and they said that they're happy with the performance, so I'll pass that along to you. Find the one with the small or the narrow width. Bring the top one over. And then this is your anti-reverse. It's a finger jointed anti-reverse. It's going to hook on this way. One goes high and one goes low. And this is the post it's going to ride on. So a couple of things. You want to bring your your trip lever down. Sometimes you have a little metal washer that goes there. I'm not seeing that washer on here. This may be an early version. Let's check in the parts tray, see if it might be there. I don't see that. So my guess is this one probably did not have one, or an earlier version of the reel. We'll see. We'll check on the performance, see how it does. Then you fit the whole drag stack over. The anti-reverse sits on that post. You mesh that in with the gear sleeve. We had a tension washer. That's the same one I'm having trouble getting off. I'm having trouble getting back on. Plastic collar. You've cleaned the case. This is a bushing again, so there's no bearings in this reel. So again, that tells you it's an early version of the reel. Put some oil in here. You can bring the case back over now. Align your, you have three things to align here: the screw holes in your case and the hole for the button to release. When you hear a nice snap like that, it usually means that you've set it properly. Check the rim all the way around, make sure that it's tight. If it's not tight, don't do this next step. Don't try to tighten it by putting screws in. That won't work. You're just going to bind something along the way. Okay, one more to go here. We're going to have to go to our parts tray, see if we can't find the extra screw for the other side plate. I'm also going to try and locate a brake for the post on the spool, and then I'm going to try and find the right schematic for this. This is a 5000, I'm pretty sure of that now after looking at the inside. And I want to see if we have that little brass collar that goes under the main gear. If it does, the whole reel will come apart again, and we'll go and do that off camera just to make sure. For now, it was about doing some looks at what the issues are. So the reel has been serviced because we saw there's new drags in there, but it hasn't been serviced in a while, and it may have been sticking because a brake was trapped. I didn't find a missing brake, which is here. Don't know if that's somehow, maybe you've gotten in a reel, caused that issue, but it's not on the table anywhere. We did check all of the functions with the pawl and the line guide in that. It's not a broken bearing. There are no bearings in here to break. So we're going to line up the case. There's one that doesn't have a screw. It's a post. Make sure, again, just like the other one, that's your tight seam to the frame. Bring that on. And at this point, you can actually test to see what's going on by simply pressing in on your free spool and seeing if you have a free turning spool. And that's certainly turning a lot better than it was. This is spool adjuster, so you can back that out. I'm also checking to make sure that the line guide is riding right now. And why am I doing that at this point? Well, there's no sense putting the star adjuster and the handle and the clip and all that other stuff on to find out that you have some of the basic functions failing before you do that. Remember, this reel didn't work when it came in, so it could have been something we overlooked, and there's no sense putting this piece back on the others to learn that it was something that maybe you overlooked. All right, we're going to put this in by hand. Take your time. If it's not spinning on free and easy like this, stop, because there's probably something impeding it, and you want to make sure that you don't cross strip that piece doing that. This one was flattened out. I'm going to just rebend it back with this pliers. You can set that over the top. Now this washer I don't believe belongs there. I'm going to put it there because it was here, but I think this just goes on. Yeah, that washer serves no purpose. I don't know why somebody put that there. I don't believe that's part of this, unless no, so you can't say it's the nut. Unless they swapped caps. There may have been a cap nut, and they swapped for this nut. But no, you have the retainer clip there. So here's another thing I'm going to do after the video. If I can help Ryan out here, I may have, yeah, this doesn't belong there at all. I don't know what they were doing with that. You can tell that because you have a normal gap here. So I don't know why they put that under there. Maybe that was causing the issue. Don't know. Maybe it could have been it was jamming something up. All right. Tighten tighten that down. That's a 10mm nut. Tighten it down. And then if you either have the point facing here or the flat perpendicular to it, you can generally get this cap on. And generally that screw will line up. There you go. Alright, well, we know the spool spins. We've done that. We can do it again. That spins, actually spins pretty nicely. We're missing that screw here. Ah, we have a trip. Look at that. It's back running. Let's make sure that the drags are holding. We need to tighten them down. Yep. That's Ryan, you got a nice reel here. We didn't know that, of course, because, well, it was stuck. But yeah, you got a nice reel. All right. Early 1970s reel, if we're reading that dating correctly. And early generation for sure, based on the internal architecture of the reel. Yeah, this one's got a lot of fishing left in it. I would recommend changing the line. Of course, Ryan, you know when you put the line on. But we knew we have new drags in there. The gears checked out fine. This is a smooth operator. This one, well, it's got a lot of fishing left in it. Well, I hope you've enjoyed that. And again, if you're watching so far and you haven't subbed, I want to encourage you to subscribe to my channel. And to those of you who have subscribed, thank you very much. I appreciate it all. Well, it's time to move on to my next project, but I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to wish everybody a great day on the water, fun fishing, and well, enjoy the art of reel repair and service. This is Dennis with Second Chance Tackle. Have a great day.